Hey gang, how you doing? Welcome back to a new video. So it's been a little while, it's been a week or two, a bit slack, been really busy. Anyway, let's get into this. So if you watched the last one, you'll know that I finished off the sill. I didn't show it in the video, but I've cleaned all this up, flatted all this back and chucked in some primer. So that's now done. Anyway, the bit you're here for is getting into this rear sill. So there's a lot to do here. Firstly, we've got to tackle this complete sill piece. If you see, it's rotten right up into the body, unfortunately. I'm guessing this is full of filler. Yeah, there's lots of rot even right up to here, so we're going to have to cut into the body and take that off. This middle part of the sill, it's gone there, which is starting to go there. It's gone here, and it's gone around that one. So I'm probably just going to take this whole sill bit off. Obviously up in here, we've still got to clean that up. That's from the previous repair, but that's just flash rust, no big deal. But yeah, this is all rotten. The jacking point looks pretty rotten because the bit of wood and stuff has pushed up into the sill. So realistically, we've got to get all of this chopped out. Yeah, all of this is gone. This outer arch lip, okay, it's not rotten, but it is full of rust. So unfortunately, really the only thing for it is to cut it out and bin it, because it's starting to creep. It's on the body here, just starting to bleed around this lip. And then if you look here, you can see, I don't know how clear that is, but basically that's full of rot. And then also up in the filler neck, there is that rot there. So we've got quite a bit to cut out. I want to get this sill cut apart and get a better idea what that needs first. And then we're going to cut this arch lip out. I've never actually done an arch lip before, so that'd be an interesting one. And then this is a tricky repair because with these two skins I think are just bonded together, they're not welded. And hopefully the inner skin can be cleaned up. But yeah, we're going to need to clean that up. I'm also thinking, really, it's probably easier just to cut this whole thing out and rebond it so there's not a join, like a water trap in here. It'd be better to have the join here on a panel that's not sat. You know, there's no seam to hold moisture. So that's what I'm thinking. We're probably going to need to take the bumper off or pull the bumper back anyway to get to that. But yeah, in this video, I'm not going to stress too much about heading back to that. I'm just going to get all this cut out and see what we're left with. There'll be some spot welds on here to attack and see what state they're in. Hopefully we can split this inner seam from the outer seam fairly easily. But yeah, this is one of them. I'm looking at this now and I'm thinking, oh, it's gonna be a right pain in the dick, but it's got to be done. And yeah, it's kind of, once this is done, that's the bulk of the rust sorted out. The passenger side, the sill's not actually too bad. In an ideal world, you put a new sill on it, but it's really not that bad. So I'd leave it a few more years, let it make it worth getting in there. There's no point cutting it open if there's just a little bit festering. Just leave it, let it spread a bit, and then you can get in there and chop it all apart and do it properly. But yeah, so let's get into this, get this ripped apart, and start tackling it. I do need to move the axle stand to somewhere safe, because obviously I want to cut all this out, so I'm going to have to find somewhere to put the axle stand. Maybe I'll get a wheel and a bit of wood and put it under the floor, and that can sort of take the load, possibly. That's what I'm thinking. Well, that's a good start. Pulled our side trim off, and obviously it's rotten, and someone's bonded that end on. So we've got a little bit of rot there festering. Alright, what I want to do before I start cutting anything is just chasing back some of this rot just to see how much filler is in there and seeing how far to cut. There's a lot of filler on this panel. I'd say that's probably, I don't know, 3 mil thick, something like that. Kind of hard to tell. I'm assuming they've done that whole panel. Maybe there's a dent lurking under there, I'm not sure, we'll see in a minute. Or they've just been trying to hide rust. Anyway, you can kind of see there how thick that is. So, not ideal, but it is what it is. So, thankfully, it hasn't gone too far under, I guess. It's fairly isolated to these edges. And like there. I mean, you can't even see where the rust was. So, thankfully, it's not gone too far up. So, I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to buzz this panel off here. And bring that down to there, just get that out of the way, because obviously this is full of rot, so we don't want that, and we need to repair the jacket point. So I think let's get that out of the way next. Right, that's kind of that bit free, so now we can pull that out of the way. It's time for a hammer and chisel, and we'll try and bend this down. But I mean, you kind of already seen the jack and point anyway, so you kind of know what to expect, but just for the rust. So that's pretty nice, but how much of the actual jack and point is still solid? Well, we will see in a moment. Let's get a hammer and chisel and finish cutting this up. Right, now that's cut, there's obviously going to be some spot welds on this back edge. I'm not too worried about going up here just yet, but we need to get this split apart here, because if the inner sill, this is 2 mil, if that's good, then we don't want to cut that apart, we'll leave that intact. I think the lower lip is gone, but yeah, we want to get this off. So I'm guessing there'll be a couple of spot welds somewhere in here. Can't really see anything, so I think we'll just go out with a hammer and chisel until it starts to open up. Wow, there we go, there's what's lurking in there. Sorry about the light, I don't know how to, I'm an amateur with cameras. I'm guessing there's some setting I can change so the LED light doesn't upset it, but that's what's lurking. So yeah, pretty good, eh? Looking at the inner sill though, pretty happy with that generally. You can see where I've welded in the new trailer arm pocket. But yeah, the inner seal looks relatively good, generally speaking. Probably going to want a bit of repair work, but that's fine. But yeah, not too bad. But this outer seal is absolutely crazy how rotten that is. So yeah, that's why we're in here doing it, because that's minging. Right, kiddos, so we are looking pretty rusty, to be honest, but what didn't we know? So that's cool. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get this entire piece out of the way, and then I'm going to rip this back piece off, and then I'm going to chase along here and decide if I'm going to cut the whole seal out or what. Ow. And then yeah, that should give us a good idea of what needs replacing. At the moment it's basically just get rid of the nastiness, so we've got nice clean metal to look at and figure out what we're doing. So now that's off, that gives us a bit better idea of what's been going on. But interestingly, it's had some metal work previously, because you can see there's some sort of welding around there and around there. So yeah, it's had work before. The mad thing is that metal work, they obviously welded in, didn't put any protection on it. They've obviously painted the outside, but they didn't do anything with the inside. So lo and behold, it's carried on rusting, which is wonderful. But anyway, that's our old piece of sill. Bleeding. Nice. That's our old piece of sill. So you can see what that looked like from the outside. Hang on. So if you went and looked at one of these cars with a view of buying it, obviously that's the inner sill. You're not going to see a lot on a 36. You're not going to see much of this part, because obviously the sill has a cover on it, or a side skirt. But if you get down into there, you'd have laid on the floor and you'd have looked at that and probably thought, oh, it's not that bad. But honestly, if you can see that much of a rusty stain, it's bad and it needs going in the bin. So, I mean, look at that. Our jacking point is completely disintegrated from the inner seal. So, I mean, yeah, it's no wonder the jacking point crumpled when I lifted it up. But if you look at that piece, okay, there's a lot of strength in that, because that's probably 2-3 mil steel. But then if you come along and look at the actual inner jacking point support, there is not a lot of metal work there. Like, it's no wonder these rear jacking points crumple. So we're going to need to do some fixing type work to this. Thankfully, the inner structure, it hasn't actually gone too far up. It just basically needs rebuilding and some strength adding to it. But yeah, pretty gnarly. So yeah, not super ideal, but anyway, we're in it and we're doing it, so let's get on with it. So next piece, let's just get this end section off. Nice. That's seam sealer, which has gone hard and rusty. And then that's the end of the sill, the outer sill. I mean, you can tell this metal wasn't really that well joined together, what was left of it anyway, because it's just disintegrated. So this is one good thing about repairing really rusty cars, is they just fall apart. So that's great. So now I guess, well, we're obviously going to need to make some repairs to this inner sill. Now that's off. I'm saying this back edge needs repairing. Come along here. And I mean, this inner edge, if the bottom lip was clean, you probably just wire wheel this and get it back to bare metal, because it's 2 mil thick. But from memory, on the underside, hopefully you can see that. This whole sill piece, hang on, there you go. The sill is very frilly on this return, and we want that needs to be clean metal because we're going to weld our outer sill to that from the underside. So realistically, this inner edge just needs to be cut off throughout. So I think the best thing we can do is just remake this bottom edge as far along as it needs to go, and then we've got good sound metal to weld to. I guess next thing to do is have a little look further down the line, see what's waiting in store for us. So that's where we're at the moment. Obviously don't worry about this, this is just flash rust because I welded this and then didn't clean it up and paint it. But that'll clean up fine. So now it's really a case of figuring out, well obviously that's rotten up to there, so I'm going to need to cut this sill out to there at the very least. But she's a bit crusty there and she's a bit crusty there, so and we've got this little piece lingering around here, and I dare say there's probably some rot under that one. So I think I'm just going to take the whole sill off. It seems sensible to, because yeah, I mean by the time that's gone we're only left with that much, and by the time we've cut a hole out there, hole out there, hole out there, that's just messy. So I think we'll cut this out probably on this swage line in the middle of it, not on the line, in the middle, and then yeah, that should be ideal because this rot has just crept up onto it there. So realistically we need to be cutting it somewhere in the middle. Yeah, so fun stuff guys, fun stuff. But yeah, lots and lots of rust festering. I'm starting to wonder, for this car to be so rusty, there must have been a leak inside. I've seen a lot of people recently saying they've had issues with their heater boxes. I knew it was a thing, but I didn't realise how many people suffer with it. So I'm pretty certain that's the issue with ours. I reckon the heater box, or the seal on the heater box, was leaking as it meets the bulkhead. So once I'm done with this car that's on the road, I'm not going to put the carpet back in it. I'm going to leave it and I'm going to check and see what happens, because the last thing I want to do is slam it all back together, MOT it, drive it, blah blah blah, and then find out that it's carrying on rotting, or there's moisture getting in and then it's going to start rotting again. So I'm guessing the heater box seal will need doing, but yeah, just to for my own peace of mind, I'm not going to put the carpet in so I can monitor it. Anyways, before we get too carried along worrying about heater box seals, let's deal with what's in front of us. It looks like this big piece of metal here. I think this usually has a return on it. I think it sits on the floor like that. So it looks like that's rotted away. In fact, can we... Yeah. It's kind of hard to tell because it's also rotten. But yeah, I'm guessing there would have been a return that lived here. So we need to square that off and add a little right angle piece. That's not too bad. I think I'm going to do kind of what I did on the... I'm going to do what I did on the back, on the front again, because obviously this jacking point, okay, it hasn't gone past here, but there's no metal left there to weld to. The rot is in that probably a centimetre or two up from where this has come off. So realistically, that just needs a disc cutting through all of that, and I think I'll make a new jacking point as I did on the front, and that should be pretty good. So yeah, that's pretty gnarly. Right, I think let's cut this piece out, and then we can get this whole bit of the sill off. I think that's probably the best thing to do next. And there we go, that's the inner sill. So you can see what's lurking behind there, and it doesn't look that bad from the outside, but realistically, like, you know, you look at what you could see on the outside, and then once you get in there, it's pretty minging. So we want to get all that out, get all this cleaned up, and get back to nice clean metal. So yeah, that's the plan. So now that that top piece is cut off, I can then whip the underside spot welds off. They probably will actually need drilling because the seam is not that rotten. So fun stuff. I'll probably do it off camera because you're not going to be able to see anything, but yeah. So I'm not going to bore you to death with drilling out spot welds, but I'm just going to show you what I do. So if you ever got to do this, you can hopefully have a a bit of a head start. Essentially, first thing to do is you need to find the spot welds, so actually figure out where they are, because if you look up there, they'll be along this floor seam, because the two seams, the outer sill and the inner floor and sill was joined together, but yeah, you can't see them. So first job really is you want to wire wheel where you think that they might be. There should be every, I don't know, 50 mil or something, maybe 100 mil, can't remember. And then once you've found them, well, you wire wheel them off and you'll be able to see them. And then you buy these from eBay. It's a spot weld drill bit. These are brilliant. They last quite a decent amount of time, to be honest. I think they're 6 or 7 quid each. You could probably drill out like 30, 40, 50 spot welds. I mean, it depends how crazy you're going with the drill and how hard you're pressing. But yeah, if you're gentle on them, you can drill quite a lot of stuff out before they go blunt. So 6, 7 quid from eBay. Really good bit of kit. And you need a hand drill. So yeah, see if we can find one and show you. Right, and then if you look there, you'll see where I've wire wheeled, you'll see like a sort of circle on the metal. This thing here. So that's a spot weld. So now we chuck our spot weld drill bit in and just cut through that. If you've got a centre punch, that can help you keep it aligned. If you're pretty dabble hand with tools, obviously you're not going to use a centre punch, you'll be able to fine. But if you're an amateur, get yourself a centre punch and you can basically just knock a point in the middle of the spot weld, and then the tip of the drill bit will sit nicely in that. You can see it's got a little tip, and then it keeps it centered. And the final thing to mention is when you're cutting through this, remember this steel is only 1 mil thick, so you only need to cut roughly 1 mil and then it will just pull off. If you cut too far, you're going to drill a hole in the inner seal as well, which is bad because then you've got to weld that up, blah 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 blah. So don't go crazy. Usually what I do is drill roughly what I think is a millimetre, and then you can just give the piece of metal a twist or a wiggle and it should come off, or get yourself a chisel and a hammer and just gently pry it. Don't go crazy because you'll you know, damage the floor behind, etc. But yeah, that's how I do it, nice and easy. That's the spot welds drilled out. You kind of see hopefully how far in you go. You kind of feel it, it will sort of click as the metal separates. So that's the bulk, and there might be the odd one lingering at the end here. But what I'm going to do now is pry this apart with a chisel from the inside, and then the remaining ones will show themselves because it will sort of get hung up on it. But yeah, straightforward. That literally took me 5 minutes. Voila, and then that's our inner sill off. So really doesn't take long to strip one of these apart if you've got the right tools and know what you're doing. And I mean, I haven't got expensive tools, but that's the sill cut off. So you can see where I've cut that on that swage line, or sort of in between the swage line. You don't want to cut on a swage line because it can be hard to hide your join when you join the metal. So your welds ideally want to be on a flat surface, because then you can obviously grind them flat and hide the join. So that's the outer sill apart, and you can see that's a nice, easy, quick way of getting that off. Rust wise, yeah, you can see all the crap that was sat in those seams. Obviously we kind of knew what was going on anyway, but that hole there, and if you look, it always spreads a lot further than what you can see from the outside. You think, oh yeah, it's just a small hole, then you get to that side, look, and it's twice the size, if not 3 times the size. Yeah, so I mean the rust is basically coming back to there. So you can never really do these repairs properly if you patch them up. You've got to cut the metal out and deal with it properly. There's the rear half. We knew that was bad anyway because we'd already seen that. But yeah, I mean that whole seam along there is pretty minging, so it'd be nice to clean that up. So yeah, happy we took that off. That's the whole back end of the sill off. And then just have a quick poke around what we're left with. So yeah, obviously we need to clean this whole inner floor seam up, but that seems pretty solid generally. It gets a bit crispy there, so that might need a bit of new metal there. We'll wire wheel that and see what we're left with. If we've got to replace a bit of tin there, that's no big deal because it's a quite easy, straightforward repair. We know this back piece, this inner sill, this is 2mm, that's going to need some repair work. This one doesn't look like it's gone up into the floor, it's actually pretty clean, so just maybe replace a small bit of this tin. And then last but not least, this inner sill, I think that ties the seatbelt anchor point to the jacking point. I'm guessing you can see this return. Now I don't think this is welded to the inner sill, I think it just lives alongside it. Obviously it's got this gap there, so I'm guessing that would run a whole piece along there that folds round. I don't know if it's welded to the floor, it doesn't look like it because there's no spot welds on it. I'm guessing it's just, yeah, it must just live there as a additional support for when you're jacking the car. I'm guessing, I don't know, I haven't got a picture of one unmolested to figure out, but anyway, I'm pretty happy with that. If I'm honest with you, I was kind of expecting it to be a little bit worse. Now, that's not to say it's particularly good, because it isn't. Like, this is serious fabrication that, you know, it needs doing. But the good thing with all of this is, if you're doing it as an amateur, as long as it's sound and solid, you're not going to see a lot of it. So, you know, if the fit and finish isn't absolutely 100% perfect, you don't need to stress over it, because none of it is visible. You know, okay, this bit is, but hopefully you've caught yours before it gets up here. But all of this lower stuff's pretty easy to sort, and most 36s, they crumple the jacking point and you get a little bit of rust around there. They don't generally need a full sill. Some do. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with that, to be honest. It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. It's still pretty bad, but yeah. This jacking point, I think we're just gonna cut that off, and we'll add some bracing and stuff. So yeah, the tricky bit is I've never done an arch repair, so this arch obviously is going to be interesting, but I think for the moment I'm going to pretend I can't see that, and I'm going to crack on with making good the jacking point, the inner sill, and then I'll get into that, because realistically it's not actually that bad. It's only the lip. It doesn't really seem to have gone in too far. I mean, you can see where I cleaned up there, you know, it hasn't spread on. Sorry, this lighting is terrible. It hasn't spread on. Even that little bit there, that was a giant bubble, there's a tiniest bit of pitting. Can you see that? Tiniest bit of pitting. So, but yeah, this is also proves why you don't put filler over rust, because it does always come back through. Same on this back bit. So, but yeah, right, I think I'm going to leave it there. That's enough choppy for this video. I've got some other stuff I need to crack on with now, but I think now I've seen that, I'm feeling a bit more positive. So yeah, we'll finish off this inner sill, we'll make a start on cutting this inner sill out, getting that repaired, and the jacking point in the next videos. And then yeah, then it would be just figure out this arch, which will be a challenge, but yeah, we shall see. Anyway, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed this one. Hope you, if it's inspired you to have a bit of confidence to go and have a go at this yourself, then definitely do. But yeah, any questions or whatever, fire away. Thank you to all my loyal watchers and subscribers. I know you are. I see you commenting on every video, so much appreciated. It does keep me motivated. There's been lots of times of late where I wonder, should I carry on with this, because I'm so busy. it can be a bit of a hindrance, if I'm honest, but I'm enjoying it. I do enjoy doing this for you guys. I enjoy showing you the process. Yeah, I'm building what looks to be building like a little community. There's a few loyal followers that are always commenting and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm going to continue for now. Continue at least until we get this car finished. After that, we'll see. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace out.